Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Spokane 2-year or 4-year virtual college fair. Thank you so much for joining us. We are really excited you are here. My name is Catherine, and I will be your facilitator for this session. Before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items to note. First, your camera and microphone are off. You're muted and your video is off. The panelists can't see or hear you. If you have any questions at all, feel free to use the Q&A button to type in your questions to the presenters at any time. They are here, ready and available to assist you. And lastly, all sessions will be recorded and including this one, and will be available at strivescan.com/Spokane. When we end for this session, there will be an opportunity for breakout rooms, and this is a great opportunity to connect one-on-one with the college representatives here tonight. We are currently in session A7, where my mouse is circling at the moment, and this is also the same order of presentations. So without further ado, I'll get out of the way and introduce our very first representative from Oregon Institute of Technology.
All righty, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Cassidy Berry from Oregon Institute of Technology. I'm going to get going here and share my screen with you all. Are we seeing the full screen? Catherine, can you give me a thumbs up or something?
You're not in full screen just yet.
Okay, I was having issues with this earlier. Sorry, give me one more second.
No worries.
Okay, there we go. Full screen?
Yep, good to go.
Perfect. Okay. Let the 6 minutes begin. Alrighty, again, Oregon Institute of Technology, aka Oregon Tech. We are Oregon's only polytechnic university, which means that we focus heavily on hands-on curriculum. Projects and labs, internships and externships are as far as the eye can see on all of our campuses. We are the #1 for return on investment in the state of Oregon. These are what we call our points of pride over here. We love talking about things that our students have gone on to accomplish. You'll see we have some of the top earning alumni. These graduates are making about $60,000 a year. It's a little on the low end. Most students are making quite a bit more. And 96% of those students are either employed or in graduate school within 6 months of employment. Our total enrollment across all campuses and online students is a little over 5,000. Our Klamath Falls campus is powered by the sun and heat. We have access, thankfully, to geothermal power in the city of Klamath Falls, and over 7,000 solar panels on that campus that power about 35% of the campus itself. Over 40 different academic programs, over 50 student clubs and organizations, and we do have NAIA athletics in Division II that play within the Cascade Collegiate Conference. These are some of those 40 academic programs that I mentioned. Again, a large focus is going to be on engineering, technology, and the healthcare side of things. But we do have our tech-infused business degrees. Of course, math, science, and technology are going to be at the base of all of these. I'm actually an alum of Oregon Tech. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in business management and marketing. So there's definitely something here for everything, we really hope. Something I love to point out is our renewable energy engineering degree. That's going to be the very first renewable energy bachelor's degree offered in the United States. We do offer a master's as well. And then I love to point out cybersecurity over here in tech-infused business degrees. That's one of our newer degree programs and a really, really up and coming field. And then we have our medical imaging technology suite. There's 5 different modalities within that program, and those students are doing some really excellent hands-on education in full student labs, working on volunteers and community members. And then our applied sciences degrees are going to focus a little less on the tech side of things, like communication studies, population health management, and applied psychology. Our student faculty ratio is about 15:1. Average class size is about 17. So really, really close learning environment here on all of our campuses. On our Klamath Falls campus, we do have a couple housing options. It's going to be, of course, traditional dorm style living and apartment style housing. Our student resources include student involvement and belonging, a really, really great team that brings a ton of activities to campus, and our integrated student health center with a full-time doctor on staff. Over 50 clubs and programs, like I mentioned, just a few of those over here to the side. And then we do have 13 athletic teams. That's going to be both men's and women's sports. Our biggest sports are definitely soccer and basketball. We do have some intramural sports, some club sports, really a lot of fun outdoor activities going on the Klamath Falls campus and our Portland Metro campus as well. Our application information and admissions requirements. Something to note here is going to be the 15 core subject requirements. That's what we call our core GPA. That's going to be different than your overall high school GPA. Focuses on these 15 core classes that we've defined, including 4 years of English. Important to note the 4 years of math. That fourth year of math does need to have Algebra 2 as a prerequisite. 3 years of lab science, including anything from chemistry, biology, physics, some A&P courses. 2 years of social studies, including 1 year of US history, 1 CTE or fine art, and 1 academic elective. I'd also like you to note over here, we do not require a second language, so that can count towards your academic elective. So we are test optional, no essays, no letters, no transcript at the time of application. So we're really kind of no hassle. I do have a waiver code here for you. That's the word first year, all lowercase, no spaces, and that will waive your $50 application fee. Our GPA that we really like to shoot for is that 3.0, but we will work with 2.5, and that's going to be based on any deficiencies that you have. So any deficiency, no more than 1 deficiency in the same subject and no more than 2 deficiencies in any subject. But those math and science are really, of course, going to come into play here as a tech school. Something that admissions really, really love to talk about is going to be our presidential scholarship. Named after Oregon Tech's previous presidents, these are awards based on admission. That's going to be either your high school GPA, that is your overall high school GPA and not your core GPA, or SAT or ACT. Although we are test optional, we definitely love to see those scores if students have them, and whichever of these pieces is higher will get you the highest award. Also important to note our priority deadline. That's going to be there. I believe it's a typo up there. It's actually going to be March 1st of this 2022 upcoming year is going to be the deadline date. So some little bit more information. We do have in-person classes right now and in-person events going on campus. So in the fall, you'll see our fall preview day, really great opportunity to get into campus and see what it's looking like. And then of course our spring open houses. And you can find all this information at oit.edu/visit. Again, my name is Cassidy Berry. I am your representative as an admissions counselor for the state of Washington. So that's going to include all you wonderful folks in Spokane. My information is all right there for you, and I will drop it in the chat with my Zoom link as well. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. The next representative is from Newman University.
Hello, everybody. You probably are wondering to yourself right now, where the heck is Newman? I get that a lot. My name is Georgia Drews. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions at Newman University. We are located in Wichita, Kansas. But first, a little bit about who we are and what we do. Newman University is a very small Catholic college in the heart of the United States, right smack dab in the middle of the Midwest. We were established in 1933 by a fantastic group of Catholic sisters called the Adorers of the Blood of Christ. They live right next door in a convent. And I always tell students who aren't Catholic, it's like having 50 to 60 grandmas who live next door. They cook spaghetti dinners. They love to have you over for their pinochle nights. They love to have you over for church. And they love to come to campus for your basketball game, your theater performance, and special events. So not only are they spiritual sponsors and the people who founded our university, they're also our #1 fans. And there's sisters from that order all over 6 of the 7 continents in the world, and we are the only university they've ever founded. So that's kind of really cool. We're named after that little guy right there on the screen. That's St. John Henry Newman. We've been having a lot of fun with his likeness, and we even turned him into a Funko Pop because he was just canonized a saint through the Catholic Church a couple of years ago. We're named after him because he had some really cool ideas about what it meant to get a Catholic college education. He believed it should be very interdisciplinary and students should leave our university with a degree and know a lot about different parts of the world. So this is where we are. Wichita is actually the largest city in Kansas, believe it or not. We have about 600,000 plus in our metro area. It's also a really affordable place to live. So cost of living here is fantastic. Going out and going to movies and getting dinner, also fantastic pricing. And if you're ever thinking about living off campus, it's definitely doable here. We are the air capital of the world. Fittingly enough, our mascot is the Jets. We send a lot of students to do internships and cooperative education experiences at the local aircraft companies like Textron and Cessna. We're also the home of the Koch brothers. So if you want to do an internship at Koch Industries, we send a lot of students there as well. And if you remember nothing else today, maybe you can remember us as the Harrison Ford School, because Harrison Ford is an avid pilot and he can be seen around Wichita 2 to 3 times a year because he comes here to get his aircrafts maintenance. So he's always driving around town, going into different shops and showing up randomly at the Doodah Diner to have lunch. So if you want to run into Harrison Ford and you're a super huge Star Wars fan, you should totally come to Wichita. Maybe you'll match up. These are all the programs that we offer, although I have to say we're probably most known for the sciences and preparing students for professional programs. We also have some cohort healthcare programs. So you can see kind of on the right side, we've got nursing, occupational therapy assistant, rad tech, respiratory care, and sonography. But we were originally founded as a school to educate teachers in the Wichita area. So we've got secondary, elementary, and early childhood education. We also have several different offerings in the School of Business that you can see on the left side of the screen. And students usually going into some of our healthcare and science professional programs will study in biology, chemistry, and biochem. But here are those pre-professional programs. Pre-med's pretty popular. It's a lot of what we do at Newman University. And one of the reasons it's pretty popular is because we have a state-of-the-art science facility that just opened in 2017. So it's still pretty new. It does boast a cadaver lab that typically has about 8 to 10 human bodies for dissection in our anatomy and physiology classes each year. And we share that lab with the KU School of Medicine that is in Wichita. Several of our faculty adjunct for the KU School of Med, including our director of theater. That's a whole other story. We are an NCAA Division II school, even though we're pretty small. We compete in the MIAA conference, which includes a lot of Kansas schools and a little bit of Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Missouri. We have scholarships available for really anything on the men's and women's list that you see here, even cheer and dance, even though we're not super competitive in that area. We do have the only collegiate triathlon program in the state of Kansas. I came here for the awesome bowling team. Shout out to my bowlers. And we're the only private Division II school in Kansas. Some things to look forward to. I know we have a parent on the call today. Usually these are the things that parents like to see. Even though we're a private school, we can still be very affordable, and students typically leave Newman with about 20% less college loan debt than the national average. We're also super good at getting people employed in their field of study. So Catholic, affordable, private schools can be affordable. Go through the steps, apply for scholarships, get that financial aid. Wanted to tell you about our application. It's online, it's free. No essays or recommendations or anything like that. It takes at least a 2.25 GPA or a 21 on the ACT to be admitted. We do take weighted GPAs. We do take super scored ACTs or SATs. And you gotta have one or the other, but not both, since we're test optional. And you can see here a scholarship scale for first-time students. It ranges between $10,000 to $16,000. Those are renewable. So if you qualify for $16,000, you get it every year for 4 years, as long as you maintain at least a 2.0 while you're here. And yes, those are some pretty big scholarships. Our flat rate tuition at Newman is a little over $32,000 for 1 year right now. So if you're 3.9 or over, you're already taking care of half of your tuition before you've even filed for need-based financial aid. We award a scholarship based on your GPA or your ACT, whichever one gets you more money on this list, but you don't necessarily need both. We also have scholarships for students that are graduating from a Catholic high school, or students that are Catholic but are nominated by a parish priest. Follow us on social media, download our custom view book, And thank you for listening today. Catherine, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much. So much great information. Just a friendly reminder that if anyone has any questions at all, to feel free to submit those using the Q&A button towards the bottom of your screen. Any questions at all, our representatives are here and available to answer your questions. The next representative is from the University of South Florida.
Hi everyone. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Hi everyone, my name's Jackie. I'm all the way in Tampa, Florida, and I'm with the University of South Florida. We have our new hashtag, hashtag #OneUSF, because we do have 3 different campuses that take up USF. And we are in the greater Tampa Bay area. So again, we have our main campus, which is Tampa. So when you think of a big D1 university, that's the campus you would think of. Most of our students are there. Our St. Petersburg and Sarasota campuses offer a lot of the same advantages that you get on the Tampa campus, just smaller class sizes, more close-knit learning environments. Our total enrollment is over 50,000 students. Again, a majority of those students are going to be on the Tampa campus. So if you do want that smaller school feel, I would recommend St. Peter, Sarasota. Even though the Tampa campus is quite large, and that's the campus that I work on, that student to faculty ratio is still 21:1 with an average class size of only 33 students. So it's good. We still have that smaller class sizes. During this presentation, I'll talk a little bit about points of pride at USF, things that we're proud to share. Diversity is definitely one of our biggest points of pride. 41.5% of USF students come from diverse backgrounds. We have students from all 50 states, and we have students coming from over 140 different countries. Another major point of pride with us is that we're able to offer over 200 different majors and concentrations. Our majors and concentrations all fall under our different USF colleges. I have them all listed here. Some of our most popular ones, College of Business, College of Engineering, College of Marine Science, obviously because we are right next to Clearwater Beach, St. Pete Beach, and Siesta Key Beach. And then College of Nursing is probably our most competitive. Another point of pride with us is a new ranking that we just earned as being one of America's fastest rising universities. We're now ranked number 46 among public universities, and that ranking was through the US News and World Report. So a little bit about student life and campus life. USF, we offer over 700 different clubs and organizations for students to get involved in. They can be academic based, they can be religious based, or they can just be based off of fun. Students start their own clubs on campus if they want. I've heard of a Harry Potter group. I've heard of a I Love Chocolate Lovers group on campus. All you need is a faculty member to approve your club. We have over 1,000 on-campus events each year, from famous speakers coming, TED Talks, concerts. Every Wednesday, we have our Bulls Market Day on the quad. We are a member of the NCAA Division I athletics. We have 17 different D1 teams. Our USF football team actually plays at Raymond James Stadium, which is where the Super Bowl champs play, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady. But we also have recreation, intramural, and club sports for students who just kind of want to play for fun. I will say our club teams are even pretty competitive. We'll go over and play like UCF and their club teams. We do have several different restaurants on campus: Starbucks, Bento Sushi, Chick-fil-A, the list goes on. And we did just open our very own on-campus Publix grocery store. So it's kind of nice students have a grocery store right on campus and then can walk back to their dorms. Again, with academics, I mentioned we had over 200 majors and concentrations, but I also wanted to mention we're a Tier 1 research institution. So what that means is no matter what major a student chooses at USF, they have access to research experience starting their freshman year, and it's research experience they can get published by the time they graduate. We also have our Judy Genschaft Honors College for students, which they have their own scholarships, study abroad opportunities. We have our own study abroad office, and we have access to local, national, and global internships. Students can reach out to our career services team to get involved in internships. Real quick, I just want to go over the admissions information and how to apply to USF. So we can apply on our website or via the coalition or common applications, and there won't be a preference on whichever way you choose to apply. There is a $30 application fee, or we can take your fee waiver. We can take ACT, SAT, or the NACAC fee waiver. And then to complete your application, we'll just need that official high school transcript. We will do a weighted GPA. So if you're taking any dual enrollment, IP, IB, any honors, make sure you submit all of that our way so we can get your best weighted GPA. And then we will need your official standardized test scores. So SAT or ACT, and we will compile your best score, your super score. So as many times as you take the test, submit all your scores. These are some deadlines for us. So for USF, we have our priority deadline. Students are just more competitive by that time. And that priority deadline this year is December 1st. And then the next most important deadline for USF is going to be the admission scholarship deadline, and that's January 15th. So students just want to make sure that they have their application completed by January 15th so they can be in the running for those merit-based scholarships. These are the merit-based scholarships right here. Again, if you have the GPA and one of those test scores, that award is yours. And I can throw that in the chat if anyone has a question about it. And this is almost my last slide. Cost of attendance. We do have one of the lowest rates in the country. Our rates are often the same or lower than in-state rates at non-Florida universities. And then here's my last slide. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to just take that barcode and feel free to reach out. Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thank you. The next representative is from Swiss Education Group.
Here I am. Hi, I'm Jasmine. I am the Western USA counselor for the Swiss Education Group. And what is the Swiss Education Group? We are a group of 4 of the leading business, hospitality, and culinary art schools in Switzerland. And so this is actually one of our campuses. It's called the Co-Palace because 100 years ago, this was a former palace hotel where kings and queens stayed when they vacationed in Switzerland. And now this could be your campus. This could be where you study and where you live. Switzerland, for anyone who hasn't been, is a super tiny country in the heart of Western Europe. Primary languages spoken are French and German, although all of our classes are in English. And when I say that it's tiny, I mean in that about the time it would take for you to drive from Seattle to Vancouver, you would have crossed the entire country. So once you're over there, you have lots of opportunities to travel. You're not just in Switzerland, you really have all of Western Europe at your fingertips. Switzerland's also really well known for being very safe, very stable politically, socially, economically. So it is a great place to study. Oh, goodness. And so our program is a little bit different than maybe some other American programs you may be looking into. One big difference, it is only 3 years for your bachelor's degree, so not 4. And the reason for that is you go directly into your major from your first year. You don't do 2 years of general ed. And so it is also quite an intensive program, but that is how you're able to graduate on time in 3 years. Another big difference, all of our students do 2 internships in their first 2 years. So you study for the first half of the year, and then in the second half of the year, we send you out to do an internship and put everything into practice in the real world. And this internship is paid. It is also international. So we send our students all over the world. Some decide to stay in Switzerland or come back to the US. But I mean, we have students on pretty much every continent. If there's a country you've always wanted to visit, our career coaches will work with you to try to find those opportunities there. And while many students do choose to intern at hotels or restaurants, we also get quite a few students who intern at places like banks or luxury Swiss watchmakers or nonprofits or the UN. And so again, our career coaches will work with you to try to find the opportunities that best match your interests and your career goals. After those 2 internships, you would come back to us for your final year, and then you would graduate with a double degree. So the Swiss degree from us, as well as an American or UK degree from one of our university partners. So you do have that global recognition. You can always come back to the States to continue your studies or to work. And our American partners are Washington State University and Northwood. So if you are looking to get that Washington accreditation, you are able to do so while still studying in Switzerland with us. As I mentioned, we are a group of 4 schools. Each of them has a different area of specialization. I'm not going to go into too much detail about all of the specific programs. My contact information will be at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to reach out if you want to know more about any specific program. So we have 2 schools focusing primarily on business. So one focusing on business as in finance, marketing, HR, and then at Cesar Ritz, the focus is more on international business and entrepreneurship. We also have a fantastic culinary program. And so with our culinary program, you can choose between doing anything from a 3-month certificate to a full bachelor's degree in either a culinary or pastry and chocolate arts pathway. We do also have a vegetarian culinary arts pathway under development. And then finally at SHMS, the focus is on hotel, event management, and design management. In terms of life in the classroom, small classes, usually 15 to 25 students. So you really get to know everyone. You're never going to get lost in a big lecture hall. And we really believe in learning by doing. And so we bring in industry leaders to offer guest lectures, workshops, field trips, case studies. So as an example, our students, they last year worked with Kempinski Hotels to develop a new fondue set for them. Our students have also participated in stock market competitions with Spanx, or participated in the marketing division of major jazz festivals. As mentioned, our schools are based in former hotels, so you have the facilities to put into practice everything you're learning about. And super diverse. Most of our students are international. Americans are definitely the minority. So you really have the opportunity to make friends from all over the globe. And career opportunities is a major reason a lot of students choose to come to us. The most recent number I saw was, I believe, 97% were employed upon graduation. But for us, it is about more than job placement. We really want to help students build and fast track their careers. And so 89% of our alum either holds management positions or have started their own company just 5 years after graduating. And again, I think it's because when they are applying for those first jobs, they have a very different resume, and they're also connected with those international job opportunities. In terms of admissions, rolling admissions, although I always recommend students apply around when they're applying for their American colleges, just because of the visa application process. We are test optional, and this was the case pre-COVID, so this will likely remain the policy in the future. We also take a very holistic approach to admissions. So it's not just about, a number. We really try to get to know you as an individual. So thank you so much for listening. Again, my name is Jasmine. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, or if you want to learn more about what hospitality is and whether you're a good fit for it, or just about what it's like to study in Switzerland. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I will pass it on to Catherine.
Thank you. Before we hear from our last representative, just another friendly reminder that if anyone has any questions at all, to feel free to submit those questions using the Q&A button. Any questions at all about the college application process, or if you have any questions specific to any of our schools represented here, we encourage you to include the school name. The last representative, but certainly not least, is from Lafayette College.
Hi folks, my name is Jade. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions at Lafayette College. I graduated in 2016, majored in psychology with a concentration in neuroscience, so I'm more natural science focused. And I'm here to talk to you about Lafayette. So when I talk about Lafayette, I usually talk about where we are first, just so folks know. With regards to where we are, for those folks who don't, we're located in Easton, Pennsylvania. Easton's very obvious. In the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a map of the East Coast. And so we're just on the border of New Jersey and Pennsylvania, about an hour and a half north of Philadelphia and an hour and a half west of New York City. I think it's a great geographical sweet spot since we're not in the hustle bustle of New York City, but we're also not in the middle of farmland. We are traditional liberal arts education. And so when people think about liberal arts schools, they think about either those two polar environments, but for us, we have the geographical sweet spot. With regards to Easton, Easton's a very up and coming town. I describe it as like a big town, small city feel. We have a lot of food festivals, a lot of artists. We have a kind of a foodie hipster vibe going on. This is the picture of the downtown Easton area. And if you look up into the center of your photo, At the very, very top, you'll see kind of buildings hidden amongst the treetops. That, my friends, is Lafayette College. It takes about 15 minutes for students to walk from Lafayette College to the downtown Easton area, and probably maybe 25 minutes hike up the hill, since we are located on top of College Hill, depending how quickly you need to get up there, maybe for class or maybe for a leisure walk downtown. We also have buses and shuttles that will take students up and down the hill so they don't have to go to class sweaty. But that's a little about Easton, and I'm going to continue. Okay, when we talk about Lafayette, as I mentioned before, we are traditional liberal arts education. So we are strictly undergraduate with around 2,700 students. We have 4 main academic divisions: engineering, humanities, social sciences, and art, and natural sciences. There we go. With regards to our academic programs, the biggest department that we have on campus is engineering. And that does make us unique because we are one of the few engineering schools that offer engineering in a liberal arts context. Our engineers are allowed to study abroad in Bonn, Germany, or Madrid, Spain, taking Lafayette engineering classes and still graduate in 4 years with ABET accreditation. It's something that is quite unique since a lot of technical schools don't allow their students to study abroad as an engineer. So that's something we're very proud of and something that we encourage our students to do when they're an engineer. Engineers will declare their major at the end of their first year, while the rest of the students will declare the major by the end of their sophomore year. 3/4 of the campus are not engineers. And so when you think about humanists, natural sciences, and social scientists, they make up the majority of the campus. We offer research as early as the student's first semester. So when you think about opportunities to get involved in the academic world, we highly encourage it. Students can do research all 4 years and can graduate with an honors dissertation and honors designation on their diploma. We offer over $500,000 dedicated towards student research. So it's something that we encourage our students to get involved in. When you look at the general statistics of Lafayette, we have about 10-to-1 student faculty ratio, with an average class size being around 18 to 22 students. With regards to the demographics of Lafayette, we are around 21% students of color. We have about 12% of our students who identify as first generation. And as you can see, 11% of our students identify as international. The other thing that makes Lafayette unique in terms of a liberal arts context is that we are one of the smallest Division I schools. We have 23 varsity teams spanning from football to basketball to a lot of the spring sports. One thing I mentioned when it comes to D1 athletes is that there's a lot of school spirit on campus. And the biggest tradition that we have is our Lafayette-Lehigh rivalry. Our friends to the west, Lehigh University, is our rival, obviously. And so we've played Lehigh consecutively for over 156 years. This year is 157, which we're very excited about. I just bought my tickets yesterday, so I'm really excited. And so it's something that brings the whole campus community together. It brings a lot of school spirit. It brings you that big school feel without having to be in a big school. And so one thing I loved about Lafayette is all of our different traditions and the fact that we have this unique tradition that is specifically for us. When I also talk about Lafayette I talk about, these are just beautiful pictures of the campus, but as you can see in the upper left-hand corner, we are the Lafayette Leopards. And so there's a lot of opportunity for students to engage with the different clubs and organizations that we have. We have over 200 that are student run, spanning from Greek organizations to cultural organizations, community service, academic, athletic. And so it just really depends on what students are interested in. The unique programs at Lafayette are really special because it allows students to cross-train their brain and kind of mix the different academic fields together. When you think about college preparedness, when you think about career preparedness, we have about 96% of our students who are employed or have postgraduate plans within 6 months of graduation. We have pre-professional programs for students who are interested in going on to graduate school, whether that's med school or law school or any other career school. We have strong academic advising, but also encourage students to take advantage of the supplemental resources that we offer, whether that's participating in the EMS club. We offer GRE and LSAT testing on campus. We have a high success rate with our students. 74% of our students who are interested in going on to medical school will get accepted into the top medical school. 90% of our students will get accepted into their top law school. So we do have a very high success rate regarding return on investment. The last slide I'd like to talk about is thinking about admissions and financial aid. Lafayette meets 100% demonstrated need with the FAFSA and the CSS Profile. We are test optional for this year and next year, and we hope to be continued to be test optional going forward. And then with regards to merit scholarships, we have 3 categories. We have the Marquee Fellowship, which is full tuition, Marquee Scholarship, which is half tuition, and Marquee Awards, which are $10,000 to $20,000, depending on the discretion of the merit team. If you'd like to hear more information about our financial aid and admissions process, or just to learn more about Lafayette, feel free to email me. I'll put my contact information in the chat feature. Thanks so much for joining, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. So much great information shared. And so again, we've learned a lot. Really appreciate it. We do have some time left. So at this point now, we're going to dive into the Q&A portion of the session. I invite all our representatives at this time to go ahead and turn on their cameras, to get ready to unmute themselves. And we're going to go ahead and start with our first question here, which is, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process? What advice would you give someone going through the college search process? And we'll go ahead and get started in the same order in which you all presented it.
All righty, I'm going to go first and mention an acronym that I actually just learned from one of my very first PNACAC fairs, which is the acronym SALSA. Stands for size, location, academics, and student activities. So those are all really important things to consider when thinking about your decision for college. I also just love to put out there that I know you guys are doing some searching right now, but it's also okay to know that college is not for everyone. So always keep that in mind when you're thinking, and if a college is maybe not the right fit for you, it's okay to take a little bit more time and think about it.
I mean, I'm obviously coming from a private school, so here's my plug. Go through the process. A lot of people tell me that they don't think going to a private school is going to be an affordable option for them. And they tell me that without having applied for scholarships or filed for financial aid or done anything that could possibly make it affordable. So if you're thinking about a private school, try not to rule them out just based on sticker price, because anybody's going to get freaked out going to the website and looking at sticker price. How many people actually pay that price to come to the school, no matter what school it is? Nobody. So net cost and sticker price, 2 very different things. Your net cost at a private school might be really affordable and doable if you go through the work and go through the process.
I always just tell students to make sure that you're doing your visits, whether it's virtual or in person. Do as many visits as you can to really see if the school is a good fit for you and if it feels like home.
I would say definitely make sure to use us as a resource. I mean, sometimes some students, they'll say, oh, this is a silly question, or, oh, this is, it's not really relevant, but I was just wondering about, students, this little part of student life, and we're really here to help you find your home. So there's, no question that's too small or silly. We are here to answer them. So don't be afraid to reach out. That's literally what we're here for.
My life pertains to almost everyone, is to balance out your life and to maintain your mental health. The last 20 months has definitely put us into a tailspin of what's happening, what's going on, virtual, hybrid, in person, going back and forth. And so I always talk about this during my visits, but you guys are high school seniors, maybe juniors, maybe starting that college process. And it's so important to think about your mental health, to balance out your life academically, socially, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and everything in between. This is something that I wish more folks will talk about in the college process. And so hopefully you can hear from me and also project to your peers as well, that it's so important that you get 8 hours of sleep, which I don't know if most of you guys are doing, eating well, staying healthy. If you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to be able to take care of your academics? So certainly you spend a lot of time with your family members in the past 20 months, but continue spending those times, because in the next year or so, you're going to go off to college and you're going to start a new adventure. And it's so important to make sure you know time management skills and you know yourself well, so that you can handle the different challenges that are going to be, you're going to be coming across.
And that's such great advice. Everything shared is really helpful, especially as you're going through the college search process. So there's no better way or great way to hear it from those who work at the respective institutions. So thank you. Our next question here is, what's one thing you want students to remember about your school? What's one thing you want students to remember about your school?
I think one of the most important things to remember about Oregon Tech is our small size. Our main Klamath Falls campus only has about 2,300 students. So like I mentioned, that 15-to-1 faculty ratio. So average classes is only about 17. In my time at Oregon Tech, I was able to use the small classes to make really, really good connections, earned me a couple internships just by the personal relationships and people that I knew. So that small size is really, really a great thing to keep in mind.
For us, I mean, Wichita is a great place to live. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. You get that urban atmosphere without really getting lost in too big of a city. Plus, we're a short drive away from places like Kansas City, Omaha, Oklahoma City, Dallas, that make some really nice weekend trips. The cost of living is fantastic, and there's a lot to do around Wichita. I really enjoy concerts and the arts, but we also have a lot of sports and shopping here. So Wichita is a really great place to live. Think about it.
I always hope students take away that there's a lot to get involved in at USF, whether they're getting involved in different research projects and tier 1 research institution, but there's also a lot of fun things. They get involved in different clubs, athletics, and there's a lot of fun stuff to do in Tampa Bay in general. I moved here from Illinois and I love it so much. I'm never going back to Illinois.
I would say, I mean, join us in Switzerland if you are looking for an adventure. If you're looking for something outside of the typical college experience, it's very unique. It's not the right fit for every student, but if you're looking for something super international, that'll set you up for an international career in your life afterwards, you might look into joining us.
I would say that we have the best of both worlds. We are a liberal arts school with a strong engineering department. We are small class sizes with an abundance of resources and opportunity. We're Division I and 23 teams, but we're 2,700 students. So I think we have the best of both worlds when you think about what students are interested in. So yeah.
Great. And we will go ahead now and dive into one more question really quickly. And that is, what is one myth you would like to debunk on the college admissions process? What is one myth you would like to debunk on the college admission process?
I don't know if it's quite so much a myth, but it was definitely something that I heard when I was looking into college, and it was that college requires student loans. I was able to complete 4 years at Oregon Tech completely debt-free, and that was by stacking scholarships, grants, FAFSA, working on campus, working off campus, and making the most out of all of my resources like that. So it's definitely an option, even for out-of-state students with our WUI discount. You can really make college affordable and avoid that student loan debt hanging over your head for the rest of your life.
I think in addition to being like a private school being affordable, a lot of people think that like we're a Catholic institution, and the second somebody sees that cross on our tablecloth at college fairs, they're like, oh, I'm not Catholic. You don't have to be Catholic to come to our school. And actually only about 40% of the students at our school are Catholic. So they know when you're in those lower level theology classes that they're teaching a lot of non-Catholic students. We're really accepting of students of all faith backgrounds. So if you're looking at a Methodist school or a Baptist school or a Catholic school or a Christian school, just know that they're probably going to be a lot of the same, and you should ask some questions before you assume that you may not be a good fit.
I think a lot of students think they have to have it completely figured out by the time they get to college, like their major and everything. But at USF, we allow students to come in as like exploratory, we call it, so they can kind of explore different major options. They can meet with our career services team, help them decide on what their interests are and what a good major might be for them eventually.
So sort of, I mean, related to that point for me, I would say sometimes students, they think that when they're applying for college, they need to have their entire life figured out. So what they major in is what they're going to be doing forever. And so at the age of 18, you need to know what you want to do when you're, 50. And I mean, this doesn't need to be the case. What you major in, it doesn't need to be what you're going to do forever. I mean, so many of my friends are doing things that are completely unrelated to what they studied in college. But I think what's more important is just to think about what you want the next 4 years to be like. So not the next 20 years, just what you want out of the next 4 years.
Georgia hinted on this prior, but public and private schools, the sticker price for private schools are expensive, but it's also because we offer an abundance of resources that were not capped by the federal government. And so when you think about financial aid, the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, it allows the institutions to what am I thinking? What's the word I'm thinking about? To estimate how much federal aid that the students are eligible for. And then there's another form called the CSS Profile, which estimates how much institutional aid that the students are eligible for. And private institutions have such big endowments that they are allowed to go beyond the federal aid. And so a lot of the private schools actually become much more affordable than the state schools or the public schools. So just think about that in terms of not being too afraid of the sticker price. But then also, as Georgia mentioned, we have a lot of scholarships, grants, and financial aid that we can support our students, because rarely are people paying the actual sticker price.
And what a great way to end. There are a lot of myths out there, and there are ways to debunk them. There are things that you can do to help lower cost of tuition and everything else in between. So again, thank you so much to our representatives for being here, for sharing so much great advice. It's always super helpful. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And thank you to each of you for joining us. As we close, there'll be a very quick 5-question survey that will appear on your browser. If you don't mind taking a moment to fill that out for us, your feedback is extremely helpful. And this session is being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/Spokane. As we get ready to end, this is the time for breakout sessions. So at this time, all our representatives will drop in their we'll send their link to their breakout sessions. So feel free to grab one of those links and have that conversation with our representatives. They're here, again, to be a resource. So feel free to check out and speak with them one-on-one. This is a great opportunity. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to let us know. Again, thank you all and have a great night.